Please ignore the Dyson fan behind me. I don't know where to move it. Hello, hi, welcome back to my channel. If you guys have seen the title, you'll know that this is going to be my spring TBR plus recommendations video. I decided to do this video because I really wanted to talk about some of the books that I've recently read that I felt like are very spring vibes. They are freaking amazing reads, and so I thought about doing a video where I can show you guys books that I want to read in the spring and also books that you guys can read in the spring. Regardless, I think this can be like a recommendations type of video in general, so y'all can take some recs from this video hopefully and maybe read some of these books, because I do feel like the books that I'm gonna be recommending you guys are not talked about a lot, and I do feel like they're worth the read. We're entering the month of spring. We're entering Q2 this year, which is crazy that the first quarter has passed. But honestly, for me, spring is a very awkward season because I love fall and I love winter. I live in a tropical country, so I do not get winter, but I always go overseas for the winter because I love winter. I love the cold. I love snow. I'm always in a space where after I come back from my winter holidays, I'm always wanting to go back to my winter weather. By the time I'm getting over the winter season, I'm like halfway through spring, and then I'm thinking about summer things to do, and by the time that's happened, spring is over. But I do love reading spring books. So let's just get started into my spring recommendations first. I do not have a lot of spring recs. A lot of the books that I read are more suited towards the fall or the winter season, and even maybe summer. Don't really have a lot of recs, but these books that I've recently read that I feel like are really good reads, I just really want to talk about them. So I'm gonna talk quickly about these books and then we'll get into our TBR. The first one on top, I didn't recently read this book, but I do feel like not a lot of people talk about this book, and I do want to talk about it. The first book I'm talking about is Heartbreak House Share by Emily Merrill. Semi-spring vibes because of the flowers that are on the cover. In this book, you're following the FMC flick who recently just broke up with her ex-boyfriend, and so she has to move out from the apartment that she was living in with her ex. She moves into a house share with 3 other girls, and she makes this list of things she wants to do in her 20s. She wants to do new things in the city of London with the girls in the house share, and she kind of gets friendship through that, and she also gets a new love interest through that. What I really like about this book was that it was really nostalgic to my times when I was in college, and I felt like for somebody who are growing up in their 20s, it's really helpful to read this book because you get to see a lot of the struggles that people in their 20s go through. And in this house share, you follow 4 girls, 4 women, not really girls, but 4 women, and these 4 women, they're in different stages of their lives. Some are in their late 20s, some are in their mid 20s, and our FMCs and technically in like the early 20s. We really see a lot of different things that they go through, how they go through these kind of battles. I do enjoy this book so much, but I just feel like not a lot of people talk about it. Very heartwarming, very wholesome, and I recommend this book a lot. One book that I'm going to talk about is going to be in my March wrap-up. It's The Graham Effect by Elle Kennedy. Now, for me, at least, spring kind of screams sports romances. I don't know why. At least in my opinion. I just have been feeling like not picking up a fantasy because you've been reading fantasy in the fall and the winter season, and all you want to do is just read like a really good and lighthearted and easy romance read. So sports romances, and this is The Graham Effect by Elle Kennedy. It's Elle Kennedy's new interconnected standalone series, and this is actually about the kid of the book The Deal. It's the first book in the off-campus series, and that couple, the kid, is this book. Gigi Graham, she is a hockey player. She's a female hockey player, and in this story, a neighboring school, not really sure if it's a neighboring or if it's like rival school, something like that, it closed down, and so the hockey players from that school moved to her school, which is You, and then she ends up meeting Ryder, who she met before 6 years ago in her dad's hockey youth camp thing, and she gets up on the wrong foot with him, but then she ends up having to work with him because she needs hockey tutoring from him, and he needs her to help make him look good in front of her dad's eyes because he really wants to become the assistant coach in that youth camp that he used to go to. So that is the whole premise of this. No fake dating whatsoever. It's just helping each other out, and then they end up falling in love. I really like the character development. It was lots of depth with the characters, and also the found family, the friendships in this are really amazing. I loved all the side characters. I feel like they're gonna have their own books, and I am excited. I really like this book. I don't really like Elle Kennedy's writing. I didn't like the off-campus series, and so this one was a big surprise to me, which is why I want to talk about it. And I do feel like it needs more hype. It's a really good hockey romance. It balances the college lifestyle, the hockey lifestyle, and the romance really well, and also the spice is really good. It's not a lot, and it's well balanced out overall. It's just really good writing, really good pacing, really witty banters, and also lots of really cute friendship moments. So really like this book. Please go and read it. Also, the second book of this series is I think coming out this year. I'm excited. I'm gonna talk about another romance book, and this one I urge all of you to go and check out. It was not released this year, it was released last year, I think in June or July, but I literally have not heard anyone talk about this except for one day. My friend talked about it. She really wanted me to read it because she read it and she really loved it, and so I picked it up not knowing that it was gonna change the whole trajectory of my life. I just really love this book so much. I still think about it to this day, and I loved my experience with it. I highlighted so many parts of this book, I annotated it a lot, and I just felt like this book is so underrated. I know some people have read it last year, but I do not hear enough about this book, and I need you guys to just get on the bandwagon because it's an amazing book. I'm talking about Forget Me Not by Jolie Soto. Oh my gosh, this book was so good. This is the spring book. If you guys want to get any book from this video, this is the spring book. This is about a wedding planner and a florist, and the guy is the florist. The MMC is the florist, and he has tattoos on his arms about flowers. Second chance romance. They were exes and then they broke up, and then they have to go and work on this high profile wedding together. Oh my gosh, I literally do not hear enough about this book, so please go and check it out. Such a good book to read in the spring. There's a lot of talks about the flowers. There are two timelines, past and present timeline, and in the past timeline you're only in Elliot, who is the MMC's point of view, and the present timeline you're in Emma, who is the FMC's point of view. Elliot and Emma, they used to date and then they broke up, and they never really worked with each other for 2 years, and then they have this high profile wedding where one of the partners is an influencer, and she really wants the both of them to work together for her wedding. The tension, the pining, the story about the flowers on his arms, and the way he talks about the flowers, and him being so freaking grumpy and her being just absolutely in love with him. Oh my gosh, please go and check it out. Forget Me Not by Jolie Soto. Literally, please check it out. The cover may not be the best, but the book is amazing. The last rec I have is a fantasy duology, and this is cozy. I would say it's like cozy fantasy folktale, and it is by Rebecca Ross. It's the Elements of Cadence duology, and the first book is A River Enchanted. The second book is A Fire Endless. I read this book last month, and I read this book this month, and I haven't talked about this book, right? I think I only talked about it in a reading vlog. I love this duology. I loved the writing. It's so whimsical. It's so folktale. Why I say this is very spring is because spirits of nature play a big role in this duology. It reads really easily. Lots of character development with all of the characters in this book. You follow I would say four main characters, and you see so much growth from all four individually and them as couples. It's so sweet and lovely and wholesome and heartwarming. Basically, with this whole duology, you're following Adara, who is the heiress of the East in this isle called Cadence. And one day in her island, girls start going missing, and so she ends up calling Jack, who is currently in the mainland working as a teacher in this musical school, I think. She asks him to come back to help with finding these girls out, and only because Jack is a bard, and basically in this world, the bard of the island can sing to nature and sing to the spirits to kind of call them forth. You will learn a lot more when you read the book. I feel like I don't explain it well enough. Very, very magical book. And also the plot kind of extends from there, where they're actually in feud with the people in the West. In my opinion, the biggest plot is not that mystery of the girls going missing. It's so much deeper than that. I do recommend it. Don't hear enough about this duology. She wrote Divine Rivals, so her writing, just the prose is beautiful, beautiful. Love this duology. That is it for my recommendations. I only had 5 books to recommend you guys, but just feel like all of these 5 books are so good for spring, so please go and check them out. Now we're gonna talk about my spring TBR. I have 8 books in total. Actually, no, it's 7 books, not 8 books. Yeah, I have 7 books. Hopefully I'll get to them this month or next month or the month after, but there are 7 books in this pile. The one I have on top is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune, and I included it in my spring TBR because I don't know why, but I just feel like this kind of screams a very cozy spring fantasy vibe. And so I do want to get this book out of the way as well, because it's been such a long time since I bought this book. It's been on my TBR card for a very long time, so I do just want to read it, and I've heard that it is magical realism, cozy fantasy. All I know about this is that there is a guy called Linus who's working in some government entity, I think, and one day he gets called to go and investigate this house where there are 6 magical children who are living there. I'm not really too sure what he's supposed to do, but I just really want to get into this. I've been putting it off, and what I've learned from a lot of the books that I've put off is that most of them are actually really good. So I'm gonna try my best to actually get into this book soon. The next book in this pile is actually not spring coated at all, but I do want to read this book probably next month, and it is Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. I know this is literally not spring coated at all. This is about two serial killers who kill serial killers Robin Hood style. No? What do you want? The only reason why I want to read this book is because this is actually the book club pick of the month. And if you guys do not know, I have a book club with my friends. It's just the three of us, really, but we have a book club and this is our pick, and that's why I want to read this next month, and that's why I'm just putting it in the CVR, because I'm going to be reading it anyway. I just really wanted to read this book for such a long time. It was on KU, then it was off on KU, and now I have the physical copy. I'm just so excited for this. I've heard such great things about this book. Lots of trigger warnings too. Please go and check them out. But yeah, I wanted to read this so bad, so I'm going to put this in my spring TBR. Next up I have is Funny Feelings by Tara Dewitt. And I bought this not really knowing what it is about, but spring coated because of the flowers on the cover, and look how beautiful the cover is. I love the art in this, so that's why I actually got it. Don't really hear a lot of people talk about this, so that's why I don't really know much about this. I read the synopsis and it's basically about a comedian who had a long-time crush on her manager, and then they end up having to fake date or something. Love fake dating. If you guys do not know, that's like one of my favorite tropes, so I'm excited to get into this. Hopefully it's gonna be witty and funny because the FMC is a comedian after all, a stand-up comedian, so not really too sure. But yeah, once again, spring sports romances. So I'm gonna pick up Stealing Home by Grace Riley. This is the third book in the whole Interconnected Standalone series. I don't know what it is called, but the first book is First Down and the second book is Breakaway, and I read those two books this month. It's gonna be my wrap-up, but I really want to pick up the third book. I'll probably pick it up next month. The first book was about football, the second book was about hockey, and this is about baseball. And this is about Sebastian, who is the adopted brother of the family, and this is also a black cat female type of vibe. You get a glimpse of Mia in the first two books as well. I don't really know what this is about though. I'm not really too sure what to expect with this book plot wise. I wouldn't say that I had the best time reading the first two books because I felt like the first book was just not it, and the second book was too spicy for me, so I'm not really too sure what to feel about this one. I'm still gonna pick it up anyway because I have the book, I own the physical copy, and I want to read it. I want to just complete the series. We have another sports romance. This is actually a book that I soft DNF'd because I wasn't feeling it while I was reading it, and that is The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Marina Zapata. And this is a football romance, and you follow the FMC, who is the assistant of the MMC. The MMC is a football player, obviously, and she's been working for him for 2 years, but one day she quits, and then a few days later or a few months later, I forgot, he ends up coming back to ask her to come back as his assistant. All I know is that Marina Zapata is a slow burn queen, so this is extremely slow burn. I have read up until page 82 of this book, but I read so many sports romances this month that I just stopped reading this because I'm not in the mood for another sports romance. So I hopefully will pick this up next month, but I'm not DNFing because I didn't have a bad time reading this book. I actually had a pretty good time reading the first 82 pages. So yeah, I'm gonna put this off until next month. We're down to our last two books. The second last book I have is a lit fic, which I didn't think I was gonna include it in this TBR, but I do really want to pick it up. So maybe not very spring coated, but still a book I really want to read. So it is The Wishing Game by Meg Schaffer. I've heard great things about this book, which is why I really want to pick it up. And it is a literary fiction about the FMC who wants to adopt a kid that is in her class, and she's a teacher aide, but I don't really know where the MMC comes into play with this book. There is literally no summary whatsoever in the book, and I picked it up only because so many people talked about it. Oh, the summary is in the front cover. And also it's not a lot of pages, it's less than 300 pages. The next book I have, I would say, is a fantasy, but maybe urban fantasy. But the book I'm talking about is Never by Jessa Hastings. I really want to read this book, which is why I also have tabs ready for it, because I have heard lots of mixed reviews about this book, but I do really want to pick it up because I love Jessa Hastings' writing. I think she writes like a poet. Her prose is beautiful and her quotes are amazing. The cover, you're on a hill, you're running, and look at the sky, it's like pink, and like the vibes are, for me at least, the vibes are spring. Not sure what it is about except for the fact that it's a Peter Pan retelling, which also gives me spring vibes. I was kind of iffy about buying this, but once I got it, I realized I do really want to read it. So I'm hoping to read this before spring ends for sure, maybe like in the month of May. Not entirely now because I do want to get Magnolia Parks Into the Dark finished first. Yeah, that is the last book in my spring TBR, and hopefully you guys get some recommendations from this video, regardless if it's book that I've read or books that I'm going to be reading soon. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this video today. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!